This is RTV6 News at Noon, working for you.
I want to assure you that Dr. Kane and I have not come to this conclusion lightly.
The state's stay-at-home order is set to expire Friday as of now, but if you live in Marion County, the pandemic will keep you in place just a little bit longer. Good afternoon, I'm Lauren Casey. The mayor and others in the city say that they're making progress against the fight of COVID-19, but it's not enough to let most businesses in Indy open up just yet. Today, Mayor Joe Hogsett announcing that the stay-at-home order for Indianapolis and Marion County would continue another 2 weeks through at least May 15th. The extension will be on to the extent that's allowed by any modification of the state's stay-at-home order by the governor. The mayor and director of Marion County's health department say that the curve is slowly being flattened, but they also say the numbers need to come down more.
But I would want to emphasize to you that we are still having over 100 new cases per day. We still have a significant way to go, as our Mayor Hogsett has stated.
One question that hasn't been answered is how the city's plans to maintain the stay-at-home order if it conflicts with this week's announcement from Simon Property Group. The owner of Circle Center Mall, Castleton Square, and Keystone at the Crossing says they're planning to reopen the shopping centers on Saturday. The mayor says his office plans on speaking to executives at Simon later this afternoon. Well, we have now surpassed 1,000 deaths from COVID-19 in the state. Moments ago, the state health department announcing 44 more deaths from the virus, bringing Indiana's total to 1,007. Another 669 cases of COVID-19 were also reported. We'll get more details on those numbers and what they mean during this afternoon's briefing from the governor. You can watch that live at 2:30 here on RTV6. Well, happening soon this midday, Kokomo is getting a visit from the vice president. Mike Pence will be back in his home state visiting one of the places that's making some really big changes so it can produce life-saving equipment. Our Stephanie Wade is following the vice president's visit, and she joins us live from Kokomo this midday with why he's here today. Stephanie, good afternoon.
Hey, Lauren. Yeah, well, soon the vice president will be here in Kokomo. He'll be visiting the General Motors plant, which is taking on a very important task in helping fight against COVID-19. GM is actually being paid by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services to manufacture and provide 30,000 ventilators by the end of August. They'll be distributed to hospitals most in need right now across the country, and they've already started being distributed actually last week. Vice President Pence will get to see firsthand how GM made the transition from making auto parts to making life-saving ventilators. And the great thing about this for Kokomo, General Motors is hiring more than 1,000 workers to build the ventilators here at their plant. And back out here live, we've spent the morning in downtown Kokomo, which is just about 10 minutes away from the plant. I also just spoke with the Howard County Commissioner who had the opportunity to tour the plant earlier this week. He says it was incredible to see just how quick they were able to make that transition and how great this is for the local economy here. He says many people lost their jobs because of COVID-19, so this is really helping reinvigorate the local economy here in Kokomo. We'll have much more coming up here later on RTV6, but for now, reporting live, Stephanie Wade, RTV6.
Stephanie, thanks for the update. Great to see Hoosiers getting back to work. We do want to take a turn right now to our forecast, and Todd Clausen is standing by from his basement. And Todd, I'm guessing you haven't gone outside today because it's not the nicest day.
You know, I opened the front door to get the mail, and it was a bunch of junk mail, and that was just about it. But that's as far as I got out the door, Lauren. It is chilly out there. There's no doubt about that. And we have the clouds as well. So as we walk out the door, temperatures are not going to change much here throughout the course of the day today. And as far as the showers, they are becoming fewer and fewer as we progress throughout the day, but still some rain showers near Columbus, North Vernon, Seymour, Bedford, Bloomington, Spencer, and the Greencastle area. But we're almost through through with this very slow-moving area of low pressure. The center of the low is now pushing near Toledo, Ohio. You notice off to our west, the clearing line is just to the west of Chicago, down towards Springfield. So I am hopeful for even a little bit of sunshine as we work our way towards sunset tonight. It's going to take a while to get in here. Temperatures up to 47 in Indy, 50 in Sullivan. We'll go up probably in most locations about another 3 degrees here for your afternoon highs, right around 50, but with the breeze, it won't feel any warmer than that. And then as we progress again, as I mentioned, into the evening hours, the rain moves off towards the east, and it's eventually overnight tonight that we'll see the clouds finally move out. Once they do, Lauren, though, it's going to set us up for a pretty nice stretch of weather that starts tomorrow, just as we start the month of May, and we'll take it all the way into the weekend. More on that coming up in just a little bit.
All right, Todd, thank you so much. New this midday, we are getting more details about what led up to the shooting death of a mail carrier on the east side of Indianapolis. Federal prosecutors just releasing new court documents in this case against 21-year-old suspect. Prosecutors now say that Tony Cushingberry Mays had been arguing with the mail carrier over the behavior of the man's dog. Court documents say the Postal Service had placed a hold on the mail at the home of Cushingberry Mays because of problems with that dog. This past Monday, prosecutors say that Cushingberry Mays confronted the mail carrier, Angela Summers, about his mail. Summers used pepper spray on the man, and prosecutors say that's when she was shot. Cushingberry Mays faces several federal charges, including second-degree murder. People who knew Angela Summers are now focusing on paying tribute to her and supporting her family, including her teenage daughter. Tracy Wagner is among those who knew Summers and just how hard she worked. That's why Wagner printed these yard signs to post in her neighborhood as a way to honor Angela and to raise money to help her child, who is now on her own.
If we sell these signs after we're done selling them, whatever money is left over or donated, we'd like to donate it to Angela Summers' 14-year-old daughter.
Warner says that the signs honoring Angela Summers are currently being ordered. The new numbers from the Labor Department showing that since the main part of the pandemic began in mid-March, more than 580,000 Hoosiers have applied for unemployment benefits. That's more than 17% of Indiana's total labor force. The number of unemployment claims is slowly coming down. Last week, more than 57,000 people applied for benefits in the state. That's a drop of about 15,000 from the previous week. Nationally, a staggering number of Americans have now applied for unemployment since the pandemic forced states to lock down. As ABC's Alex Prochet tells us, some people and small businesses are still having trouble getting their promised help from the government.
This morning, new U.S. unemployment numbers. 3.8 million more Americans filing for aid this past week, raising the total over the last 6 weeks to 30 million. The numbers having a snowball effect on the country's economic growth. The gross domestic product, the measure of U.S. economic activity, falling 4.8% in the first quarter this year, the worst since the 2008 recession, with economists saying it will shrink further in the coming months.
We're going to see economic data for the second quarter that's worse than any data we've seen for the economy.
President Trump eager to get the U.S. back to business.
Where they'll open a certain amount here, restaurants at 25%, then going to 50%, then ultimately we want to be back to where we're 100%.
Several states have begun ramping up their economies this week. Alabama allowing all retail stores to reopen at 50% occupancy. In hard-hit New Jersey, the governor allowing state parks and golf courses to reopen this weekend at 50% capacity. But some workers are worried. Veronica Fields is a hairstylist in West Virginia. She thinks it's too soon to go back to work because the guidelines are so unclear.
It's kind of crazy to go from completely shut down, but next Monday I'm going to be expected to figure out how to do full salon services on masked clients while I'm masked.
Some business owners worry too.
If Order 79 is not ready.
In Washington, D.C., at the historic Ben's Chili Bowl, they fear even when things open up, they'll still struggle.
We anticipate being significantly slower than we were before we had COVID, right? We have a tremendous amount of tourist business, for example, and all those tours are done. They're stopped.
Ben's Chili Bowl got approved for one of those Paycheck Protection Program loans, but there has been concern about applications not being processed quickly enough. The Small Business Administration responded. Yesterday, it created an 8-hour window where it only accepted loans from small banks, hoping to help clear up the backlog. Alex Perche, ABC News, Washington.
Well, they paid for season passes, and then their summer plans went up in smoke. Coming up, how Call 6 helps them get off the roller coaster and get those problems solved. All right, Todd.
And Lauren, it's a chilly day here in central Indiana, but you want to see what the difference between clouds and sun is? Well, we're in the 40s right now in Indianapolis, 60s off to our west. Those 60s, well, as we look ahead to the forecast, they return tomorrow. We'll talk more about that coming up in your Storm Team 6 forecast. The time is 12:10. You're watching the news at noon right here on RTV6.
General Hospital this week on ABC.
New this midday, hundreds of amusement park fans have filed complaints with the Indiana Attorney General about the previous owners of Indiana Beach. However, it looks like their roller coaster ride may have a happy ending. Call 6 investigators spoke to families who spent hundreds of dollars on season passes to this amusement park, only to be told in February that Apex Parks Group planned to shut it down. More than 200 complaints against Apex were filed with the State Attorney General's office seeking refunds. But just last week, White County announcing that Indiana Beach would have a new owner and that any season passes purchased would be honored. Call 6 Investigates Kara Kenny will have much more on this developing story tonight on RTV6 at 5 o'clock. Well, they are running out of money, and it's happening at the worst possible time. Next, how some postal workers here in central Indiana are worried about what the future holds. We'll be right back.
To Keller and Keller.
Well, the U.S. Postal Service is considered essential during this pandemic, but the Postal Service was already struggling financially, and now because of reduced revenue, the agency could be out of cash by the fall without some help. RTV6's Troy Washington is working for you to explain how the impact trickles down to postal workers right here in central Indiana.
Postal workers are always on the go. They're known to be reliable and consistent.
We go to every address, no matter who we are and where we live. 160 million addresses, 6 days a week, sometimes 7.
Simply put, mail carriers won't let much stop them from doing their job.
It's a non-taxpayer-based entity. A lot of people don't realize that. It solely runs off revenue of postage and postal products. The retailers are not advertising. Restaurants aren't sending out coupons, car dealers, airlines. So it's deeply affecting the mail. And so what's going to happen is, if the Postal Service just runs on the revenue, if the revenue runs out, and that's what's going to happen if there's not relief from Congress.
But what happens when their funds start to run low because of the COVID-19 pandemic and restrictions keeping them from making money?
And if the post office doesn't get relief, then what the post office does for the people of this country, including absentee voting and vote by mail, will all be at risk.
According to the president of the American Postal Workers Union, without getting the necessary funds to stay afloat, the future of the Postal Service is starting to look dim.
If the post office is forced to cease operations or severely reduce operations, then the people of the country will pay a price.
He says it's no secret USPS binds the country together, bringing necessary medication to people, delivering stimulus checks to those in need, and keeping military families connected. He says while most USPS workers feel appreciated, now is the time to really show it.
The calls to Congress, letters to Congress, emails to Congress.
Working for you, Troy Washington, RTV6.
Troy, thank you. Well, there was an attempt to include the Postal Service in the coronavirus relief package passed in March, but so far the White House has blocked efforts to pass the emergency funding. We'll keep you updated on that developing story. But now it is Thursday. We want to get a check of our forecast. It's not the best day, Todd, but I think the timing of all this has worked out in our favor because we all want a nice weekend.
Yeah, you know, if you had to pick a day, you're right, Lauren. It's probably Wednesday or Thursday that you want to have the bad weather. And then as we get into Friday and the weekend, right on cue, it's going to turn into a nicer forecast. Here's a live look outside, or rather a look at your temperatures and wind speeds. The winds are out of the northwest currently, gusting up to about 25 to 30 miles per hour. So that's one of the issues we face. And the other issue is these clouds and the temperatures, as I mentioned. That's a live look to the north. And the temperatures sit right now anywhere from 46 43 degrees in Kokomo. It's near 50 in Bloomington, 47 in Indianapolis. And these temperatures are not going to moderate much more throughout the course of the day, maybe going up another couple degrees, and that is just about it. So don't look for any warming throughout the remainder of the day. However, I do think you could see the skies start to brighten a little bit as we work our way into the late afternoon, early evening hours. Still some spotty showers lingering down to the south from Seymour up to North Vernon, over to Columbus, Nashville, Bloomington, Martinsville, Bedford, some light rain showers, then off to the west as we slide a little further to the north, Danville, Greencastle, Rockville, a couple showers, and that is just about it as far as the rainfall goes. And you don't have to look too far off to our west. Here is the clearing line where I'm drawing that line, and that will slowly start to make its way off towards the east as this area of low pressure, which is near Toledo, starts to make its way off into this northeasterly direction towards Buffalo. So as that low moves, it pulls the clouds with it, and it pulls the rain showers off to the east as well. The problem is it's just moving super slow, and so we're still dealing with clouds through the 5 o'clock hour. It's probably not until closer to sunset, which is at 8:39 this evening, that the clouds start to break apart. So that's when we'll have the best chance of some sunshine. It's just too late in the day for it to give us any warmth, but as you wake up tomorrow morning, you are waking up to skies that'll be partly cloudy. It's going to be chilly across the area tomorrow morning with temperatures that are going to be hovering in the upper 30s to low 40s across the area, probably about 43 in the city, but we'll be looking at temperatures that will be in the 30s in the outlying areas. But we get back into the mid 60s later on this afternoon. That is the good news. It warms up very quickly, and then look at your weekend forecast. 75 on Saturday. It's a great day with partly cloudy skies. Sunday, 77 degrees. And some of you, if we can keep that cold front off to the west long enough on a Sunday, will potentially get up to 80 degrees. The showers you do see in the forecast on Sunday, Lauren, that is going to be a cold front working through. It's just a small window as far as time goes that those showers move through. Most of the day is dry with the sunshine. And then as we get into next week, temperatures will still be in the 60s and 70s. So overall, it's a pretty good 7-day planning forecast. After we get past today, and once May starts tomorrow, we're in pretty good shape.
All right, Todd, thank you so much. Well, state leaders here in Indiana are working to make sure that you and your family have access to everything you might need during this time. As our Alyssa Donovan tells us, that includes resources to make sure that you are taking care of your mental health.
Indiana Family and Social Services staff is working to make things easier for you and your family during this time, which is why they've created a website that has all of the resources you might need. A recent trend in rising suicide calls to 911 and crisis hotlines was part of the reason Indiana Family and Social Services staff decided to create this, the Be Well Indiana website. It's a one-stop shop for mental health resources, COVID-19 information, substance abuse information, and financial assistance details. Rachel Halleck, the Deputy Director of Mental Health and Addiction, says isolation can trigger mental health issues, but having easily accessible resources can make a major difference.
That if a person has the right tools in their toolbox, that they are able to actually address any concerns in the realm of mental health or substance use disorder on their own or with their loved ones before needing to seek out professional help. But if they don't have those tools, then whatever symptoms it is that they are experiencing tend to be exacerbated and get worse.
Along with resources, there are also videos with tips on how to deal with a crisis and how to discuss it with your kids. The website is new, and Indiana Family and Social Services staff are looking for feedback. If you want to check out the website, it's called BeWellIndiana.com. I'm Alyssa Donovan, RTV6.
Alyssa, thank you. Still ahead here on the news at noon, we'll get a check of your Storm Team 6 forecast with Todd one more time. Here's a live look from our IMS Pagoda camera looking back towards the city's skyline. We'll see you on the other side of the break.
And FloorIsYourHome.com. That's who.
It's a chilly afternoon for us here across the area with temperatures that will be in the upper 40s with a few spotty showers, but they'll diminish as the day goes on. Once past the today time frame, we are in great shape. Friday, partly cloudy, 62 degrees, 75 on Saturday with plenty of sunshine. Storms late in the day on Sunday, but a lot of dry hours, Lauren, with high temperatures that'll be approaching 80 degrees.
All right, looking forward to that weather. Todd, thank you so much. And thank you for joining us and making RTV6 your choice for news. We hope you come back here. Join us for the news at 5 o'clock. Have a great Thursday afternoon, and I'll see you tomorrow morning.